deeper knowledge or more education on yourself, but it's kind of like a side door to a place where you can get to on your own without any assistance.
Yeah.
Like the human brain is, I guess theoretically we only use 20% of our brain, right?
Yeah.
So mushrooms create new neural pathways to be able to access different parts and different dimensions, if you will, if you believe in that. But we have the power within us to do that. And I'm curious if you use meditation at all to visualize or to go into different spaces of yourself.
Yeah. So I would say, meditation, breathing exercises, breathing specifically for me has really helped. I'm a terrible mouth breather, so one of the things I think about on the golf course, for example, is keep your mouth closed. Literally all the time, keep your mouth closed.
That's great.
Yeah, just keep breathing through your nose.
Yeah.
Especially in pressure situations. But breathing, meditation, I'm not as I meditate, I would say, semi-regularly, and it probably goes hand in hand with some of the breathing exercises and everything that I do. Nothing like what you've done, but if you can carve out 10 to 15 minutes a day and
change your life.
Yeah, absolutely. And you can be consistent with it.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think anyone has done, even if it's some guided meditation on an app, whatever it is, no one's going to, sit and close their eyes for 10 minutes and do some breathing and come out of it and say they feel worse.
Right. Yeah.
Right. It's not going to hurt. If anything, it's going to be better.
Yeah.
So it's a very simple way to just center yourself. And because you think about the world that we live in nowadays compared to the world 100 years ago, and all the stuff that's around us, whether it's artificial lights, whether it's EMFs from all the stuff that's our phones, or the things that we're wearing, or whatever it is. There's so many things around us that if we can just take a few minutes a day to get away from all of that, that has to be a good thing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's so important. Like taking your shoes off.
Yeah, grounding.
Grounding. It's very important. Is there any type of meditations that have titles that you use, or coaches that you've followed?
So to me, I use this app that it basically uses AI to train. Basically, it figures out what your ideal breathing rate is. So whether that's 5.5 breaths a minute or whether that's 6.2 breaths a minute, and then I use that as a guide in terms of some of the breathing exercises that I use. I think it's called resonant breathing. But apart from that, no. I mean, whether it's just sitting there and going back through your day, or visualizing good things that are going to happen to you, or manifesting some things, whatever that is. But I would say it's a random assortment of a few of them.
Yeah. Really, like, as you said, just sitting with your eyes closed and giving yourself that time for self-reflection, or just calmness.
Learning to be bored.
Yeah.
No one's bored anymore because there's always something there to take your attention away.
Point.
Oh, my phone's here, or the TV, or whatever it is. Just learning to be idle for a little bit.
Yeah,
I think
exactly.
is a good thing.
Let the body rest.
Yeah.
Yeah, we talked about, mental health in this conversation, and you've obviously put yourself out there a lot over the last couple of years throughout all the changes in the game of golf. And as a golf fan and somebody that's passionate about the PGA Tour, I think you've done an incredible job being a spokesman and leader to the PGA Tour. But how would you rank your mental health through this project and where you sit today?
Yeah, I'd say my mental health was probably challenged quite a bit over the last couple of years. I've always prided myself on being quite a sort of resilient person. So, but yeah, I think it takes a certain, it takes, I think if I had have been, I think I was much more thin-skinned earlier in my career. And I think I've learned to sort of get a little bit tougher in that way. And if I wasn't thick-skinned, I wouldn't have put myself out there. I wouldn't have been as outspoken as I was, because I just wouldn't have wanted to handle everything that came my way. So, but that's it's, someone said to me, it's, a lot of the times, or most of the time, it's the hard thing to do the right thing, and that's that's the way my parents raised me, I think. And that's the way I try to live my life is, you want to do the right thing, but most of the time the right thing is also the hard thing.
And uncomfortable sometimes, because that there's going to be judgment or but obviously, as you said, learning to have tough, thick skin. Is there anything that was like transformative? Was there a point in time where you're like, okay, I just have to have a guard up and know how to handle myself?
I don't think it's really a guard up. I think it was a realization that as much as you want to, or as much as you try to have everyone in this world like you, it's not going to happen.
Yeah.
It's completely impossible, right? So I think once I realized that, and realized that not everyone's going to like me anyway, I think I became much more comfortable with who I was as a person. And then I think when you get to that level of comfort within yourself, you can be a little more outspoken, and you can say things that piss people off. But at the end of the day, as long as you have the love from the people that are closest to you, it doesn't really matter what anyone says. And that's sort of that's the approach that I have taken to the last 2 years. And has it hurt some relationships along the way? Absolutely. But, time is a great healer, and, I was speaking up for what I believed in, and, I would do the same thing all over again.
For sure. Yeah. Speaking your truth is something that has been so transformative for me. Like learning who you are is the hardest thing in the world.
Yeah.
Because especially today with kids growing up with Instagram and Facebook and seeing everyone in their perfect lives and their perfect snapshot is difficult to keep up with.
Yeah.
So you said it perfectly, of like finding out who you truly are and allowing yourself to speak out about the things that you truly believe in. And Jag and I talk about this all the time. It's like when we're changing, which is inevitable through life, it's like a roller coaster. Yeah. Like you're going to have to go through the hard transitions with your friends as well.
Yeah.
And what's been cool to see is that like a lot of the people around me are kind of feel like they're going through the same thing. Yeah. Sounds like you are, like finding the ability to speak up and say what you truly believe in. And I think it's a really cool shift that's happening right now.
Yeah. And I think that, that is that, but that's like, I think that's that's it, right? Like that is it with the human condition. It is figuring out who we are, what our purpose is, and surrounding ourselves with the right people and moving forward.
Yeah, because ultimately if you are your best self, then you can allow everyone else to be their best around you. Yeah. Therefore the cumulative will grow in a better way as well.
And it's a perpetual cycle then.
Yeah.
Right.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I remember when I was younger and I was getting into playing competitive golf, and this became my total focus. I remember going through my first real struggle in the game of golf, and I was around 19 years old or so. I mean, I'd had struggles and bad tournaments in the past, but this was like my first long stint of like really having a hard time. And what I found was when I played bad, I just felt terrible as a person because I had my identity so wrapped around being a golfer, right? And I think this is very common in when you're young and an athlete and something, is your identity's around your thing, your sport, right? How has purpose changed for you in your life? If golf was maybe, early on your number one focus, it still could be, but has your purpose changed over time?
Yeah, so I would say, Yeah, I probably, it took me a while to separate my score from my feelings about myself. I shot 65. I felt great. I felt really good about myself. I shoot 75 and I feel really shitty.
Yep.
And it took me a while. It probably took me a good, I was going to say like decade into my professional career to get to that point where I could disassociate. Like, just because you shot a good score doesn't make you the greatest person on earth. And just because you shot a bad score doesn't make you a piece of shit. Right. So, it took me a while to get to that point. It probably was just right before COVID, 2018, 2019, when I sort of figured it out. I was like, okay, this is, and it takes a lot of self-reflection, and it takes a lot of, it also takes having a little more balance in your life too. So if golf is absolutely everything to you, and that is what your whole identity is wrapped up in, then I think it's very normal to feel that way, whether you have a good day or a bad day. But then having other things that sort of make you a more well-rounded person, whether it be relationships, family, other interests outside of golf, whether it be trying to learn new things or, hobbies like whether it be going to the gym or getting on the bike or flying, whatever it is, that,
juggling.
What's that? Juggling, whatever it is. Haven't started with knives yet. That's the next thing.
And fire.
Yeah. So I think, and I don't know. I haven't had this conversation with many people, but it probably took me longer than most to get to that point. And it's that's fine. You know, some people are quick learners in some things and not so quick learners in others. And it took me quite a while to get to that point. But then once I did get there, I then started to see a pattern of I'd follow a bad day with a good day. Where I think before, when I would let a bad day affect me so much, I'd probably follow it up with another bad day. So I think that was the positive that came out of it, was I was probably able to bounce back a little better.
I don't know. I've never met someone, I don't think, that is like, man, I figured it out immediately. Like
No,
it takes time.
Yeah.
It takes time, man.
I think we're all just figuring it out as we go along as well. And I think we're always, I'd say, maybe you meet a person that's lived on this planet for 80 or 90 years. They're going to have a lot of wisdom and a lot of knowledge, and they're going to think, people that are on their deathbed aren't, if I'm on my deathbed, I'm not going to worry about the 76 I shot at Memorial one year. I'm going to think about the things that really matter to my life, my family, my relationships, my friends, and that's, and I think you just have to always remember that.
Yeah, definitely. Well, that's a great lead into one of the questions that I've had is, if I wasn't planning to ask it today, but if you were on your deathbed, what would be something that you've learned in your life that you would want to pass on?
I would say follow your dreams. I would say that's the biggest thing for me. I think we all have dreams as children and as kids. And I think either one, society tells us that we can't dream that big, or influences in our lives just sort of take us off that path. So that's the one thing I would say is follow your dreams wholeheartedly and don't let anyone tell you that you can't.
Because you think that it could be possibly attainable.
Well, I think it could be attainable, but I also think that everyone on this planet is born with a purpose. And I think we're all given that purpose pretty young in life, and then it's sort of up to us to follow that. Yeah.
Interesting. So what would be your purpose?
I mean, to me, I feel like I've been given this talent of being a great golfer. And I certainly don't want to waste it. So I think my purpose is making the most of the talent that I've been given, but also making the most of the platform that talent has given me as well, and try to be a good role model and try to speak up for the right thing, and try to encourage the next generation